So here's the big question this afternoon, shortly after 5 p.m. Where in the world is Antonio Brown?
It was supposed to be a night of glamour and entertainment. On May 6, 2025, at the packed Miami Boxing Center, hundreds of fans, influencers, and former athletes filled the arena to witness a charity match hosted by controversial streamer Aiden Ross. The lights were bright, the cameras rolling, and the guest list included a mix of social media stars and celebrities including Antonio Brown, the former NFL wide receiver, whose name often made headlines for all the wrong reasons. But no one could have predicted the chaos that would unfold just after midnight. Eyewitnesses say the atmosphere was already tense. A few drinks had turned into many, and the VIP lounge was buzzing with arguments and clashing egos. Among those present was Zulkarnain Kwame Nantambu, a rising figure in the online fitness scene and vocal critic of celebrity violence. According to multiple attendees, Brown and Nantambu exchanged heated words just after the main event wrapped up. It's unclear what exactly sparked the conflict, but several phones captured the moment the shouting escalated into physical violence. Security footage later obtained by local media shows a scuffle breaking out near the edge of the ring. Antonio Brown can be seen lunging toward Nantambu, throwing punches, as others around them try to separate the two. Within seconds, it turns into a full-blown melee, with at least 6 people involved, bodies flying over chairs, and drinks spilled everywhere. Security personnel rushed to intervene, but the sheer size and intensity of the brawl overwhelmed them. Screams echoed across the venue. Someone pulled a fire alarm. Others grabbed their phones to document the chaos. One clip, viewed over 4 million times on social media, shows Brown breaking free from a bodyguard's grip, his face flushed with rage. As the crowd began to disperse, many assumed the worst was over. Event organizers apologized to remaining guests and began clearing out the venue. But for Zulkarnain Nantambu, the danger was far from over. In the parking lot just minutes later, a confrontation that had started with words and fists would escalate to something far more terrifying. And by the time police arrived on the scene, the suspect had vanished, leaving behind a wounded man, a blood-stained sidewalk, and a community demanding answers. The streets outside the Miami Boxing Center were still alive with chatter, headlights, and echoing footsteps. Fans poured out into the humid night air, many still processing the chaos they had just witnessed. But what happened next would take the evening from outrageous to near fatal, and would turn Antonio Brown from a controversial guest into a wanted man. Just 15 minutes after the fight inside the arena broke up, Zulkarnain Nantambu exited the venue through a side door, escorted by 2 volunteers who had offered to walk him to his vehicle. His shirt was torn, his lip bloodied, but he was breathing, still shaken but safe. Or so it seemed. According to newly released security footage, Antonio Brown never left the area. Witnesses later reported seeing him pacing outside the back entrance, eyes scanning the crowd. And then, in a chilling moment caught on camera, Brown approached a member of the private security team, a longtime contractor, visibly distracted by the ongoing cleanup, and in a swift, almost rehearsed movement, grabbed the guard's sidearm directly from his holster. There was a pause, a breath, then panic. Shouts erupted as Brown bolted through the crowd, gun in hand, heading toward the east parking lot. "He's got a gun! That's Antonio Brown!" someone screamed. Nantambu, already nearing his car, looked up just in time to see the man who had attacked him earlier, now armed and running directly at him. Police say that's when the first shot rang out. The bullet hit the pavement near Nantambu's feet. He stumbled, ducked, and ran behind a row of parked vehicles. Another shot followed this one, grazing his neck, narrowly missing his artery. He fell to the ground, clutching his shoulder, screaming for help. What followed was chaos. Guests screaming, running in every direction, security frozen for a second too long, and Antonio Brown vanishing into the night as quickly as he had appeared. By the time emergency services arrived, Brown was gone. Detectives later confirmed that the firearm belonged to a licensed security guard who had not realized it had been taken until after the incident. That lapse in protocol is now under internal investigation. Forensic teams recovered 2 shell casings, as well as blood samples and partial fingerprints from the gun once it was found tossed into a nearby storm drain hours later. Zulkarnain Nantambu was rushed to Jackson Memorial Hospital in stable condition. In a statement to police, he described the moment with chilling clarity. "I thought he was just angry. I didn't think he was going to kill me. But when I saw that look in his eyes, I knew he wanted to end me." Within hours, the Miami Police Department escalated the case. A warrant was issued for attempted second-degree murder, armed assault, and unlawful use of a firearm in public. But there was a problem. Antonio Brown had already fled the city, and no one knew where he had gone. Social media exploded with rumors. One video showed him boarding a private jet, another showed him riding a bike shirtless in Dubai. None were verified. All raised alarm. The city was on edge. The victim was recovering. The suspect, a national celebrity, had vanished without a trace. That's when Sheriff Grady Judd got the call. As the sun rose over Miami on May 7th, the city awoke to national headlines. Cable news ran the story on a loop. Antonio Brown wanted for attempted murder. The sports world was in shock, and the public was furious. An altercation that began in the ring had now crossed every line of legality and morality. By 9:00 a.m., the North Miami Police Department had issued a public bulletin declaring Antonio Tavares Brown Sr. a fugitive. He was officially wanted for attempted second-degree murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and unlawful possession of a firearm. The case was no longer just a scandal, it had become a manhunt. Detectives traced Brown's last known whereabouts to a luxury condo in Sunny Isles Beach, but when they arrived, the suite was empty, champagne flutes still on the table, duffel bags missing. Surveillance showed a man matching Brown's description leaving the building just hours earlier with 2 individuals, one of whom was carrying a laptop and a thick envelope. The concierge said they asked for a discreet exit. Worse still, by early afternoon, videos began circulating online showing Brown allegedly in Abu Dhabi, grinning for a selfie while riding a beach cruiser bike and waving at the camera. Though the footage couldn't be verified immediately, panic spread across platforms. How could a man accused of attempted murder simply vanish overnight? That's when the case landed on the desk of Sheriff Grady Judd. Known nationally for his no-nonsense approach to crime and his flair for blunt public statements, Judd didn't hesitate. Although Polk County is over 200 miles from Miami, Judd has built a reputation for intervening in high-profile cases when public safety is at risk, especially when fugitives cross jurisdictional lines. At a hastily arranged press conference that evening, Judd stood in front of the American flag and addressed the public with his signature, Southern calm and unblinking focus. "Let's be clear. This isn't just some celebrity out for a walk. This is a man who allegedly fired a gun in a crowded parking lot, tried to end another man's life, and then ran like a coward." With that, the sheriff confirmed that his office, in coordination with U.S. Marshals and Interpol, had officially entered the search. Resources were being reallocated. Airports flagged. Border agencies alerted. Phone records subpoenaed. His department released updated images of Brown, along with a nationwide tip line. And that's when the calls started coming in. A woman in Tampa claimed she saw him boarding a chartered yacht. A teenager in Atlanta posted a blurry photo of someone who looked just like AB at a Waffle House. But the most disturbing tip came from a source within law enforcement itself, suggesting Brown might be using false documents to move between countries with the help of a private security firm once employed during his NFL years. Judd's tone turned darker. He may have money, he may have friends, but he's running out of time. In Florida, posters with Brown's face began appearing in public parks, gyms, and even outside stadiums. Local news anchors referred to it as the Brown Chase, drawing comparisons to infamous celebrity escapes from justice. But Sheriff Judd was unmoved by the drama. "He's not special. He's not untouchable. He's a suspect and we're coming for him." The pressure was mounting. The public was glued to the story. And behind closed doors, Judd's team was building a profile, mapping known associates, reviewing past outbursts, identifying behavioral patterns. His theory? Brown wouldn't run far. He was addicted to attention, and eventually, he'd try to reclaim the spotlight. All Grady Judd had to do was wait. 3 days after the Miami shooting, Sheriff Grady Judd stood before a wall of microphones in Bartow, Florida. Behind him were members of the U.S. Marshals Task Force, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and representatives from the Miami-Dade Police Department. The air was heavy with tension. This wasn't just a press briefing, it was a declaration of war. Grady Judd didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Antonio Brown is not a football player today. He's a suspect. An armed suspect accused of firing a gun in a public space, of endangering the lives of dozens, and I promise you we will find him. By now, the manhunt had evolved into a nationwide operation. Brown's private bank transactions had been flagged. His passport was deactivated. Customs and Border Patrol was working overtime. But Judd was clear. This wasn't just about one man. It was about drawing a line. "We live in a country of laws," Judd said. "You don't get to pull a gun on someone and then flee the country like you're on vacation. Not in Florida. Not on my watch." Reporters pressed for more details. Was Brown really in the Middle East? Did he have help from inside law enforcement? Were there plans to extradite him? Judd remained firm but tight-lipped. "I'll tell you what I can. We're tracking every move. We know who he's contacted. We know what phones he's using. And when we get the green light, we move." Social media exploded with support. Thousands posted under the hashtag #JuddJustice, calling for Brown's capture and praising the sheriff's determination. Victim advocates in Miami rallied behind Zulkarnain Nantambu, who is now recovering at home under protective supervision. In a powerful interview aired that night on NBC News, Nantambu appeared with a neck brace and swollen eye, his voice steady but emotional. "This isn't about revenge. It's about accountability. I want to live in a country where someone can't just shoot you and disappear." That same night, Grady Judd released a 60-second public address, not for the media, not for law enforcement, but directly to Antonio Brown. "Antonio, I know you're watching. Maybe you think you're safe. Maybe you think money protects you. But listen closely. This ends with handcuffs. You can come in peacefully, or we can come get you. Either way, you're coming back." The video was viewed over 10 million times in 24 hours. Brown remained silent. Behind the scenes, the pressure was tightening. Multiple international agencies began coordinating with the U.S. State Department. Anonymous tips from Dubai, Doha, and even Istanbul began trickling in. Meanwhile, Judd's team remained focused on the ground game, investigating every associate, bank transaction, travel agency, and digital footprint Brown had left behind. For Judd, this wasn't just about one arrest. It was about a principle he had repeated time and time again throughout his career. No one, no matter how famous, is above the law. The story ends, for now, with a photo of Antonio Brown's face at every major Florida airport, his name at the top of federal fugitive lists, and a sheriff who refuses to back down. "We don't quit, we don't forget, and when that knock comes on the door, it'll be us."